Oh, welcome to the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. Figure that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Things have gone sideways. In fact, they're so sideways that the camera's not even straight. I'm in such a tizzy, and the reason is because in an interesting turn of events, I don't know how this happened or why this happened, but it is a thing. We are now able to stream both vertically and horizontally at the same time. And so we're going to give it a test. I'm trying to figure out if it's even working over on Instagram or not. If it is, cool. And if it's not, well, that's a shame. But anyway, welcome into the show. It has been quite the day around here. And if you are a Flyers fan, you'll know it has been quite the 24 hours, which we are going to get to in a wee little bit, not very long from now. Some crazy things have been going on over in Flyers land. And I feel like we need to have a conversation around what has been going on with Sean Couturier, what's been going on with Matvei Michkov. And I kind of threw out an idea. I kind of threw out the gauntlet over on Twitter because people were so opinionated. I was like, hey, anybody who wants to come on the show, feel free. You can come on, regardless of who you write for, your podcast that you do. Come on over on the show and let's have a conversation. Now, only one person took me up on it. And I know you're going to be surprised to see who it is. But the person who's decided to venture into these very crazy waters is somebody who I have a feeling half of the audience out there, at least on Twitter and such, is going to say is a shill, is a corporate shill. I will say he's not a corporate shill, but I have an idea of where he's going to land. But we are going to have a conversation about the Couturier-Michkov thing. We're going to have a conversation about what's going on with the Sixers, who blew a late lead last night. And, of course, the Eagles are getting ready for Monday Night Football. And as part of that, YouTube TV and Disney still haven't gotten along. They're still not pals. They're still not friends. And so we have to apparently deal with that tonight. So all that is to say, there's a lot to get to on today's show. Big thank you to everybody who's joining live. And let me know if you're over on, I think it's on Twitter and on Instagram. I went vertical view for the show today, but let me know what you think. Anthony Sanfilippo's here. Ant San Philly. How are we feeling about the Philadelphia Flyers? Can you let the people know whether or not the locker room is fractured and whether or not the whole team is about to go plunge into the darkest depths of hell? Because based on what I saw last night, it certainly sounds like everything's about to fall apart. Where are we at today?
You know where the darkest depths of hell are, Russ? Flyers Twitter. That's where the darkest depths of hell are. As I wrote today, it's a godless hellscape. Okay, it is. It is. Nothing. Look, there are things that I just blow off. I don't get mad about a lot of things, right? I just whatever. People can have their opinions. They can say what they want about whatever they want. It doesn't bother me. But the thing that bothers me, that really sticks in my craw and gets me going, is when people are going out there on social media and trying to piece together a narrative based solely on their internet investigative abilities. They're flat out wrong. They double down on it, and then it blows up into this whole viral thing. I checked in with people over at the team today just to confirm that I'm not an idiot, right? Like, well, tell me what because I've talked to Sean Couturier. Have I had the one-on-one with Matvei Michkov yet? I have not, right? So I've not had the opportunity to ask him directly. But I've talked to Couturier many times about his relationship with Michkov, about what it's like there. At no point do you ever get the suggestion that there is some kind of rift between him and Michkov. And everybody in the organization says the same thing. It is nonsensical. It is stupid. It is silly for anyone to suggest this. It is ridiculous. I can't believe I have to come on your show and talk about it. But the fact of the matter is I have to, right? It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous.
So this whole
and Jason Franklin, who's in your comments, you can pull up if you want, saying Flyers are on damage control. Baloney. All right? Baloney. Flyers are not on damage control. If the Flyers were on damage control, you would have had something out from the Flyers already. Okay? You would have. All right? This has pissed me off for 2 days. I was mad when I saw it for the first time Saturday night. Okay? I didn't talk to anybody at the Flyers until today. All right? I was mad about it Saturday night. Yesterday was ridiculous, and now it's just out of control. You guys are out of control with this completely.
You guys, you people. So, okay.
I said it this way. I hate to take up too much of your time, Russ. I know you want to talk as well. All right. But
thank you. Wow. Is that growth? Is that growth from you? I think that's growth.
That's growth. That's growth. To me, and this is how I described it in my story today, right? If we write something negative about the team, you have a selection of fans who think that we're being unfair, we're being too negative. If we write something positive about the team, you have a selection of fans who say that we're shills for the organization, that we're kissing ass, whatever the case might be. All right, you have two sections of fans. I don't have a problem with either one of them. The people I have a problem with are the middle, the Venn diagram that goes through both of them. The people who complain when we're too positive and the people who complain when we're too negative, because those people have an agenda, and those are the people on Flyers Twitter who are driving this thing crazy. That's who I have a problem with.
Okay. Do you feel better now?
Thank you for your time.
You feel better now?
I do.
Okay. I'm glad. Well, that's at least something. It's a little, I would say that's like, at the very least, that's a little bit of a positive boost here. Okay. So I want to kind of pull everybody back. I want to kind of rein everybody back, because this is exactly the problem with, well, a big part of it is a part of what's wrong with Flyers Twitter, just in general, right? And it's an imperfect place full of imperfect people, but we are all imperfect. I want to get to the genesis of it. I want to get to the quote from Couturier. I want to get to some of the blowback. There have been so many crazy things that have happened in like the last 24, 48 hours that like I had to kind of pull my head up and go like, did I miss something? So the other night, overtime, Flyers trying to get 2 points. And there's a play in overtime where Couturier enters the zone offside ahead of Michkov. And he's seen over on the bench. He looks at Michkov, he kind of shakes his head. He doesn't look thrilled with his teammate. There was a Twitter account, is Get Pucks Deep, right? Big following on Twitter. Somebody who like definitely stirs the pot from time to time. I have no issue with this person. Like, I think they're perfectly fine. But they're like a very online Flyers Twitter person. So I'm like, okay, I see that like this person really kind of takes the idea of Couturier's got beef with Michkov. That's not the way to lead. And then it kind of takes off from there. And then I see people from like other outlets starting to kind of pile onto it. And then it's kind of like plant your flag in the ground one way or the other. So there's that moment on the bench. And the weird thing, and I will give Get Pucks Deep like credit here in that like they put this tweet out in this clip, and then the clip was just gone. And like I kept clicking on the tweet, and it would like go into my like algorithm, like the video algorithm or whatever, right? Like you'd get done a video and like you'd go. So it looked like there was supposed to be a video, but it was gone. And then there was this like big grand conspiracy. Did the Flyers have the video removed or flagged from Twitter, which is crazy. But like that thing goes around. Okay. Then after the game, Sean Couturier talks to the media, and there is no question included in the clip. It's just Couturier's comment. Yeah. Now, I want to give fuller context in a little bit because Kevin Kurtz got kind of in a little bit of a hullabaloo today, kind of calling out the fact that the question was taken out. But this is Sean Couturier after the game. This is not Sunday night or whatever. This is after the most recent game, after that kerfuffle in overtime. Here's Sean Couturier talking about Matvei Michkov. Let's just go here first, and then we'll kind of break it down. Here's Couturier.
I think he's a great goal scorer and has a lot of skill. I think you just got to find a way to contribute to helping the team win in other ways when you're struggling. You're not always going to be scoring goals every game. So, I thought I've seen improvement in the way he's, not cheating as much and being on the right side of pucks. And, I'm sure it's a little different for him, but, if he sticks to playing, more the right way, I think it's going to be better for the team overall.
Have you since?
Well, look at that guy in the background about to ask a follow-up question. I think I know him. I think he's right here.
Yeah,
a weight off his shoulders a little bit after scoring that goal in Nashville and then tonight as well.
I think so. I think you can tell tonight he was trying to make a lot of plays with the puck, holding on to the puck. I think he's definitely feeling good about himself.
Okay.
I think it's.
I want to re-rack it real quick. We're going to break it down a little bit by bit.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you what Kevin's question is? It's not on It's not on what you.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Because
Sanchilippo.
I have it word for word. This is Kevin Kurz' question, to which Couturier answers the first thing. Okay. He says, Matvei was just saying that he was maybe feeling some pressure to score a goal, and that the goal in Nashville was a little bit of a weight off him. What have you guys done to try to keep him sort of on the level and keep his frustration levels low and his confidence high as he's kind of worked his way through this? So when Couturier answers this question, and you can play it again if you want, that's totally fine. When he answers this question, he's answering it as, this is what we're saying to him. This is what we're telling him. As the captain of the team, he's an extension, a little bit, to the players of the coaching staff, right? That's what his job is as a captain, to be the liaison between the coaching staff and the players, and to be a guy that the coaches can come to ask for the temperature of the players can come to ask for the temperature of the coaches. It's that kind of middle person. That's all he's saying. He's not saying anything more than that. That's what the question was, and that's what he's saying. So it's not a criticism. If anything, it's kind of like, this is how we've encouraged him, that he could continue to help this team even if he's not scoring goals. This is what we're telling him, that he could do these things and help the team be better.
Okay. So, counselor, I appreciate the passion, counselor, but I am going to have to ask that you take a breath, calm down a second. Let's go back. Let's replay it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Gonna break it down bit by bit here, with the context of what the question was, and then it was specifically about Michkov. Okay.
Yeah, he's a great goal scorer, and
great goal scorer. Start with a compliment. Love a compliment.
And has a lot of skill.
Has a lot of skill. Love another compliment. Is there a but coming?
I think you just got to find a way to contribute to helping the team win in other ways. When you're struggling, you're not always going to be scoring goals every game. So,
okay, I don't think that's totally unfair. I have to figure out other ways to contribute, help teams win. Yes, the scoring is great. Yes, the skills great. You have to. Okay, that's fine so far. Like, all that's great.
I thought I've seen improvement in the way he's, not cheating as much and being on the right.
This has been a thing that Tortorella and Taka talked about, him cheating. Okay. He says he's improved.
Right side of pucks, and, I'm sure it's a little different for him, but, if he sticks to playing, more the right way, I think it's going to be better for the team overall.
Playing the right way would indicate like being a more responsible overall player and not one who's cheating up to go the other way. Like earlier this season when we saw there was a goal scored against the Flyers and Michkov was like practically out of the picture. He's so high up, like it was from behind the goal. He's like out in the neutral zone, just kind of waiting, thinking that the team's about to win possession and he's going to have a breakaway. Okay. Add to this the fact that like Tortorella went on national TV not that long ago and said that Michkov always wanted to be the guy to go serve the bench minor because he wanted to have the opportunity to jump out and have a breakaway. Okay. And then your question was also fine. Okay. So here's my problem, right? Sometimes I get emotional. Sometimes I get a little bit animated. I can't figure out what the fuck these people are complaining about. And I tried. I did. I went on Twitter and I was like, okay, I saw the Couturier clip. I didn't know what the question was. And I said, okay, like, I don't see an issue. Went back and forth with a few people who may or may not speak into a microphone also. And I was like, what's the issue? And I got, mixed responses back. But then I went, okay, do we or do we not in this city ask athletes and coaches and GMs to be honest? Do we or do we not ask them for actual insight and not a bullshit canned answer? We do. Now, the last two people who were honest and open have gotten flamed. Dave Dombrowski was open and honest about Harper having a good, not elite season. And then, Bryce got upset and there was a whole thing and that's a whole other thing. Okay. That was open and honest and correct. Couturier said exactly what everybody's saying, right? Did I miss something? Like a lot of the people who it seems like are upset right now. Oh, Sean Couturier, he said something. He's going to fracture luck. They're going to have to get rid of Matvei Michkov. He's not going to want to be here. These are the same people who are joking about, wow, is Michkov fat now? A lot of them are the same people. Oh, Michkov doesn't look right. Michkov doesn't look great. Why is the organization trying to cover for him? What's going on? And now they're turning around. Oh, Sean Couturier was unfair to Matvei Michkov. None of this is like, where's why is there outrage? I don't get it. What did I miss? And by the way, Jason Franklin, totally fair question. Why don't the pool ask TK, who has been terrible? Here's one thing.
In the moment, I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to answer that question.
Hold on. You're going to wait.
You only have me for limited time.
That's fine. Couturier is the captain of the team. He's allowed to address this, and it was asked of him. I don't understand. Is that question from Jason? Why don't the pool ask about TK, who's been terrible? I presume that means why aren't they asking Couturier why Konechny's been a disappointment? Okay. I mean, you certainly can. And you were down in the scrum the last game. I mean, I've made no secret. I think Konechny has been wildly disappointing for the last 25 games going back to last season.
He has been disappointing. He has been disappointing.
Okay.
And look, I will say, all right,
take up the mantle for the capital J journalist down in the locker room.
Mr. Schill of the team is going to tell you Travis Konechny has not been good enough this year. Has not. Okay. The team has not been happy with it, but he does have a track record to sit there and tell you that, okay, his 15 games have not been as good as they could be, but we know that they could be better. All right. We know that he could be better. There's no question about it. Why are we not asking that question in the moment? Because here's where the lack of perspective also comes. What people don't understand is we walk into that locker room. The first person we talk to is Matvei Michkov. And what does Matvei Michkov tell us? He tells us this is the most clear he's ever been, that he didn't train right for 4 months in the summer, that he was not in the right headspace for the first 12 games of the season, that he really was like, he got distracted and was like not doing things the right way, and then he said that after he scored, he felt like the weight was off his shoulders. He doesn't feel as heavy on the ice. He feels lighter on his feet, and he feels better about it. So he tells us that. So then we go to Sean Couturier. What the hell, Jason, do you think our questions are going to be about? Do we suddenly going to say, oh, why is Travis Konechny not playing well? No, we're going to ask what he thinks about what the 20-year-old player just said to us. That's how it works. That's the answer to your question. That's why I'm upset. Because you guys think that we're just not doing our jobs, that we're down there just, we're glad to be here. We're just happy to be in the room. That's all we're here to do. No, we're telling you the story that is coming out of that locker room. That's what our responsibility is. Okay? That's what our responsibility is.
I just want to point out, you and I do multiple shows a week over on Sin the Goalie and Press Row Show. You're never this animated. You come onto my show, and it's like you have been released from your shackles and just allowed to go buck wild here.
It's because this is what pisses me off.
Okay.
All right? Because to me, look, I have a problem with it being an attack on those individuals, specifically Sean Couturier, who I've known since he was 18 years old. Okay. And I know the genuine individual that he is and the person that he is and the player that he is. Okay. And I know how he is respected in that locker room, how he's respected around the league, how he operates as a captain of that team, and what his relationship is like with Matvei Michkov. I know the answer to that. And so it does piss me off when people try to suggest that it's something other than that. Okay. But on top of that, it's a combination of blaming, and it's not just me. I mean, I'm not sure that anybody really knew that I was there until they saw the video, right? Yeah. That other reporters who are doing their job, who are there working every day and asking these questions, are getting lit up by these same people for not doing their job when it's baloney. It's bullshit. They are doing their job.
So I will say this. This is where I come down in the camp of, like, do I think every Flyers writer is good? No. Did I feel that way 5 years ago? Yeah, I felt the same way. I think some people are certainly better than others. I think that a lot of like the old school, this writer is trying to get the edge on this writer so that they go buy more of their papers. Like, I don't necessarily see the same rivalries, but I don't talk to those people as much as we used to when we were sitting on press row, and you could definitely feel some of the stuff back and forth, right? But like, there are very easy context clues that allow you to know if somebody's writing a certain story, if they're building a certain story. Here's the thing that's interesting to me. There are people on Twitter who go out of their way to call out the people who are down covering the team or credentialed or doing the whole thing. And they're like, you need to ask this question. You need to ask this question. Okay. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. If you're writing about the team, and you and I both know, we used to work together at Crossing Broad. Like, we do not look down on blogs. You work for On Pattison, for the greater company, but you write for On Pattison. I don't look down on blogs. I think if you're a blogger, sometimes bloggers are better than the people who actually do the beat writing. And in the past, it certainly felt that way. I don't know if it's as much the same now. But like, I'm not going to rule somebody out because they're a blogger. But here's the thing. If you are taking the opportunity to write for an outlet, whether it's a digital only or it's print or you talk into a microphone or whatever, you have to be able to back up what you're doing. And the bigger part is, I think at some point you have to like put up or shut up. Like, there should be an idea that like, I'm busting my ass to write this stuff. All right, then try to get credentialed to come down and like ask questions in a scrum or ask questions at a presser. Cause like the Flyers have never, to my knowledge, really gone against the idea of having new media credentialed, right? Like, I don't think there's like a prejudicial look at it where they say we only want to work with the brick and mortar and the
but they
physical copy stuff.
No, you're right, but they have pulled back this year for the first time on locker room access. Like, this is the first year that they've.
Does that include? Does locker room access include the coach at the presser or no?
It's a good question. I'm not 100% sure.
There
does seem to be more people at the press conference for the coach than are in the locker room, but it's only by a couple, if so.
So here's the thing: the people who scream and yell into the void on Twitter, you have to ask this. Go through the process, get credentialed, go down and ask the questions yourself if you're unhappy with what people are asking. I could go now if I really wanted to, am I or am I not credentialed to go into the locker room and to the press?
You are.
If I really wanted to start a firestorm, could I be the person to go down and start a firestorm?
100% you could.
Have I done it yet?
No, because you're usually doing the post game with Bundy.
I could not do the post game. I could have Intern do it. If I felt like the beats were doing a terrible enough job, I would go down and ask the questions that people want to have asked. I just don't feel like it's the thing right now. I don't think that going down and saying, why has Travis Konechny struggled? I don't think I'm going to get a candid answer out of Sean Couturier.
You're not.
Why is it that Travis Konechny only has 3 goals in the last 25 games, not including empty net goals? 3 goals in his last 25. 15 this year, last 10 last year. I'm not going to get a good answer from Sean Couturier.
Well, I would tell you, I can't put 2 seasons together. I really can't. They're
you
two
can't,
completely
I will.
different. Well, yeah, but it's stupid to do
even
that.
So, it's 3 goals in 15 games.
Yeah.
But even still, like, there is a lack of productivity from somebody who's your highest paid forward. And like, I think it's a fair question to say, what the hell is going on? I think that like you can go down and you could get a more candid answer off the record on background. You could chat with a player at their stall. You could probably talk to the coach, talk to the front office. Hell, we have front office people who love to go by. They say hi to us every time we're doing Press Row Show. Could certainly get some insight there. I don't think that every fan understands that, like, just because you like go in and try to like firebomb it like Howard Eskin, you're not going to get a good answer.
You're not.
And you're not going to feel satiated as a fan if that's what you're looking for. This whole thing, this like supposed controversy with this Couturier quote, if you have the context that the question was asked specifically about Michkov, I don't know how you walk away from it and say, oh, that's the captain being an irresponsible captain, being an asshole, a piece of shit. He's a terrible leader, blah, blah, blah. You know what it is, Ant? I think it is this attempt to have confirmation bias that people who don't like Couturier, the people who think the Flyers are a better team without Sean Couturier on the ice, they are grasping at something tangible, and they want to somehow piece together Sean Couturier not being fast enough to keep up with the fucking track star who can't do anything consistently in Owen Tippett. Well, that must mean that we have to figure out a way to like get Couturier to be a villain now. And because he came out and said something about Matvei Michkov, it's a good thing that he's not cheating as much and blah, blah, blah. that's going to be the thing that they're going to latch onto. It's insane. I don't get it. I really don't.
No, you're right. And then not only that, Russ, I think it's a combination of one other thing.
By the way, hold on real quick. I want to go to this really quick. The lack of celebration on the goal against the Predators. I'm going to show it. Okay. Now I'm not going to play. I can't. Okay. We have to be very careful because love YouTube. They're great people. We love YouTube. Have I done enough to like butter them up? We love the YouTube. I'm going to like do the scrub here. Okay. Like we're not going to play the video. We're going to scrub through the video because I feel like the way people are making the celebration seem is that Michkov was celebrating by himself, dancing on his own. And like, I don't think that's fair. All right. So here's Michkov scoring against the Predators, right? He scores, first person over to him, Sean Couturier. Okay. Let's scrub ahead a little bit. Oopsies. Where are we at? Here we go. I see a teammate. I see another teammate coming over to celebrate. They're not like jumping out. Like Cam York here isn't saying, hell yeah, I never want to score a goal of my own again, Matvei. That was amazing. No, that didn't happen. But like, I don't see this like supposedly muted celebration. They tied the game less than 5 minutes into the second period. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'll do it. All right, here you go. Here's Michkov. He scores. He celebrate, hands up. Brink is skating the other way. He comes back around. I don't think there's beef with Bobby Brink. Cam York comes in, gives him a hug and a pat on the head. Brink comes around. What did I miss? What was the celebration that people wanted? Honestly,
well, I think in all honesty, Russ, I think that the bitching was about the Ottawa goal, which was I think they celebrated more than they celebrated the Nashville goal. If you want to be honest, I mean, they celebrated.
I'll pull up. Let me
celebrated
pull up
more on the Ottawa goal.
Let me pull up the Ottawa goal.
Yeah.
I just really think that it's so weird.
So
this team,
I'm going to tell you,
this fucking fan base has me so worked up.
Yes.
They have supported horrible teams for years. They supported Claude Giroux teams that had not a snowball's chance in hell of making it out of anything. They supported Chuck Fletcher patchwork teams and filled out the arena and got themselves all worked up for nothing. And here we are in a year where like the team is above 500, sort of hockey-wise. They're effectively above 500. They're actually playing, like sometimes they're not fun because they don't put a ton of shots on net and it drives me nuts and it drives a lot of people nuts. But they have young guys who are actually contributing and are getting an opportunity. And this fan base, you would think that they have 2 wins on the year in a year that like they're expected to like make the playoffs. People are going absolutely buck wild for no reason whatsoever. Here, I found the Michkov goal. Okay. Michkov scores and he celebrates. He goes to the corner. The guys slowly skate over. I'll show it here real quick. They slowly skate over. They didn't come over and like, dap him up right away. They didn't come over and like have rainbows and smiles. All right, here we go. So here's Michkov. He scored. All right. We got a fist bump. We got a good job. Konechny comes over, fist bump. Okay, really quick, context-wise. We said the other goal, right? That was to tie the game 5 minutes into the second period. When did this goal happen? 8.5 minutes left in the second period. Flyers are down 2 and now 2-1. It's not a game tying goal. It's not a game leading goal. It's not a game winning goal. What did I miss? I genuinely think that people are absolutely out of their minds. And usually I feel like I'm somewhat in tune with where Flyers Twitter is, but this season has like totally in every way, shape, and form flipped this shit on its head. It makes no sense to me. I don't get why people are actively looking for reasons to complain and have issues with like, if you don't like Sean Couturier, that's one thing. If you think Sean Couturier's contract is an albatross, fine. If you think that like Sean Couturier's lack of speed is going to ultimately doom this team for like 6 years or something, like I saw somebody say, fine. You can say, just say that. But don't try to like conflate the fact that he like answered a question about Michkov with things that were like, I don't know, in some way kind of complimentary, in other ways like kind of critical. Like, what are we doing? Why are we worked up? What are we doing?
Fans are frustrated that the team has not been good for forever, right? And so every little thing that annoys them is going to annoy them more in the moment. And I'm okay with that. All right? They're probably wrong, but I'm understanding of frustration. Right? Even if it's wrong frustration, I understand frustration. What I don't understand is the creation of a false narrative to exacerbate that frustration. That's what I don't understand, and that's where I get upset about the whole thing. And that's why I can't believe we spent a half hour talking about this, Russ.
I can't, because this is the whole thing.
It's bullshit.
It is a season that, like, there have been positive signs, and I don't know, like, is this corner of the Flyers fan base the people who want them to tank for Gavin McKenna? What does the Venn diagram look like? People complaining about the Couturier clip, people who think that Couturier's contract is an albatross, and I don't get it. I don't get it. What am I missing? I'm looking in the comments. I need people to explain. What am I missing? Why are these people so worked up? Why do we have conspiracy theories going around? There are plenty of clips of Couturier and Michkov on the bench together, yucking it up, chatting. Where Couturier is essentially trying to coach up Michkov. There's like a clip going around of like Couturier showing Michkov at a team event how to hold his golf club for a drive. I'm not saying that means that they're like best buds. I'm not saying that means that like you're going to see, Sean Couturier walk into the locker room and say Minyazavut Sean to get like a smile out of Michkov. But like, what are we doing?
Dude, I got to run. So this is the last thing. I will recommend to everybody, if you haven't read it, well, you can read my story too, but go read Jordan Hall at NBC Sports, who did a story about what took place after practice yesterday with Rick Tocchet, Matvei Michkov, and Sean Couturier on the ice. Okay? That they didn't stage this. This wasn't something staged. All right? That this was something that was actually taking place between the three of them. And you could see why Michkov trusts Couturier and confides in him and looks up to him. Read that story. I'm telling you, a lot of it goes away. So.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank
you for being here.
It's a pleasure, Russ. I got to go.
It's been a joy.
Thanks.
Anthony Sanfilippo. Go find him on Patterson. And this Wednesday, we will be live. He hasn't given me a confirmation on the location yet. And I know you're still there. Do we have a confirmation on? Oh, I got rid of him. He's gone. We might be moving the show. Snow the Goalie Radio on Wednesday. I think we're supposed to. I think we were like waiting on final confirmation. But we are doing a Snow the Goalie Radio. The time might be changing. The location might be changing. But it would be good. If you're going to the game, it would be especially good. That's all I can say for right now. I was hoping to be able to promote it on today's show. We'll put it out on social media when I have an idea of if it moves or not. There was another thing. It's actually kind of funny too. I'm going to take you here real quick. There was another thing that happened. And this just shows how insane Flyers Twitter has gotten. So Jordan Hall put out a video of Michkov attempting a Michigan on Dan Vladar in practice. And somebody got all worked up about it, about, I guess, the way that Jordan Hall phrased the question or phrased the caption. Here we go. I have it right here. So this happened at practice. Okay. And again, this is why I don't understand what's happening in Flyers Twitter. This is an innocuous tweet. Here it is. So Jordan Hall puts out, Matvei Michkov scored in a 2-on-1 drill. He then tried the Michigan and looked like he got Dan Vladar in the mask. Okay. So it's nothing, right? Like they were playing. He tried a Michigan or something and maybe hit Vladar in the mask. Okay. He didn't say Matvei Michkov, the unbelievably selfish Russian player, actively attempted to hurt the number one goalie on the team. Okay. He simply mentioned, tried to do the Michigan, looked like he got Dan Vladar in the mask. That was it. And then that led to one of the dumbest fucking exchanges I have seen on Flyers Twitter in a long time. I mean, and there was a certain bar for that. So there's a guy on Twitter who, again, he's one of the people who writes things for what I'm pretty sure is a pretty big enough outlet, has enough followers that if he wanted to try to get credentialed, he could, or he could try. And this person quote tweeted Jordan Hall's video and said that he's a baboon. That Jordan Hall said about Jordan Hall's video about being a baboon. Now I have to scroll a lot because this person was fucking all over Twitter on Sunday. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna try to find. It was retweeted and then I don't know if the oh, there we go. Good to know we're getting fun clips at practice with sick finishes, and the baboon reports it like Michkov just concussed his goalie. So this tweet goes out, and then it starts a firestorm, and the person eventually clarifies that they meant to talk about Kevin Kurz, who did not put the video out, and that they were complaining about, I guess, something that Kevin Kurz put out, right, that he said. I don't fully get it, which led to a spat with Jason Martinez. And I'm just at a loss. I feel like people need to like go outside and touch grass or touch ice or something. It is absolutely nuts. I don't get what's going on. I don't understand why people are so worked up. I don't understand why, for a team that has largely outperformed expectations, why Flyers Twitter is ready to light itself on fire. I will continue to be here. If any of the people who are watching this right now write about the team, do podcasts about the team, they want to come on the show and they want to tell me why I'm an idiot or Anthony's an idiot, and why Sean Couturier is the worst leader ever, or the worst captain ever, and Matvei Michkov is going to demand to be out of here. Fine. Saw people trying to make comparisons. Well, Michkov is going to end up being like Couturier-Gauthier. He's going to want to get out of here. Oh, this is just confirmation. This is why Couturier-Gauthier didn't want to be here. He knew the organization was an absolute mess, and that blah 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 blah. And now Michkov's okay, fine. I legitimately think that people are just out of their minds, and I don't get it. This isn't a team that came in with Stanley Cup aspirations and like has fallen on its face. I don't understand why people are so insane on Twitter today, this weekend. I don't get it. I would like to understand, but as of right now, I do not understand. Someone please make sense of it for me. Okay. I think I'm done with the Flyers for now. I feel like I'm at my wit's end. I'm rarely at my wit's end with stuff about team and about a fan base's reaction, but like this is just like next level insanity. So let's go to something a little bit happier. Let's go to the Philadelphia 76ers. Oh yeah. Don't worry. The Sixers will take the sting out of it, right? Right? Wrong. Now I know that we haven't talked a lot about the Sixers on the show lately. I know. And we have to get to the Eagles. We have to get to the YouTube TV thing as well in the show. And apparently the Micah Parsons poison pill that was put in the Cowboys trade to the Packers. But we got to talk about the Sixers a little bit here, because the Sixers are just over 500. They fell to 6-4 after losing at home by 3 points to the Pistons. They had a late lead in the game. And I'll tell you what the number one concern I have for the Sixers right now is. It is not whether or not the team, oh, here we go. Chris Frieda, like almost on cue, says they remain a better team without Embiid than with him. I'm not going to go that far. My concern with the Sixers isn't whether or not they're a better team or a worse team with Embiid. That's not it. My concern isn't like, what's the team going to look like when Paul George comes back? It's not that. My concern is like what is very quickly becoming a more than disturbing pattern of behavior late in games, final possessions that the Sixers have, opportunity to take the lead or tie the game on a final shot. Last night's final possession, Sixers trailing by 3 points. It was like a fire drill with like chickens that had their heads cut off. It was a horrific, and I mean like legitimately god-awful final possession that results in a last-second heave that didn't have much of a shot of going in. I don't know if the Sixers are still at that point where they're trying to figure out who needs to be the stone-cold, cold-blooded killer on the team that needs to be the guy that they go to in end-of-game situations, but they have to decide it, and they have to decide it like relatively soon. I know it's only 10 games into the season, but like it seems like game after game after game, you end up in a spot where it's like Edgecombe could potentially have the shot, but he defers to Embiid, or collectively the team looks to Tyrese Maxey because he is right now, I would say by a pretty considerable margin, their best player right now. And it feels like the Sixers just continue to not know who to go to late in games. And like, if it is going to be Tyrese Maxey, and make no mistake about it, I have no issue whatsoever with Tyrese Maxey being the guy that they go to in a crunch time situation. Preferably if it's a 2-point shot to get the lead, right? Or to tie the game. I love the ball being in Tyrese Maxey's hands. Why? Because we know he can slash. We know he can get to the rim faster than anybody else. We know that he has a good mid-range game. We know that he has the ability to hit a runner. We also know that Maxey has the ability to kind of hit with a little stutter step, right? And a step back 3-pointer that he learned from James Harden. Like, we know that he has that in him. We know that he has that ability in him. But late in this game, again, it was one of those final situations where like nobody seems to want to take the shot. And I wish I could play it here on the show, but YouTube will flag the video and it'll be very bad. And I don't want that. But like the Sixers were down a point with 17 or so seconds left. Cade Cunningham it was a constant dagger. It felt like almost every possession down the stretch, Cade Cunningham made something happen. He gave them a 3-point lead. I'm going to walk you through the sequence here. Okay. Here's the Sixers' final possession sequence. It's an inbound from the near sideline, near the hard cam. It's Oubre to Drummond. There's like a little bit of action. It comes out to, was that Grimes? And it goes over to Edgecombe. Edgecombe doesn't like what he sees. He gets it back out top. They try to get the ball. It's a dribble handoff to Maxey. Maxey tries to break it down. He gets doubled. He then splits a different double. So 3 total defenders are trying to affect where Maxey's at. He somehow does slip through. He gets an off-balance 3-point attempt, and that's being very, very generous. It was not a sure-footed 3-point attempt. He splits a double. He throws up a last-second shot with 1.1 on the clock and hits the back rim, and that's the end of the game. When you are coming out of a timeout, that can't be the final shot. Maxey getting the final shot is fine. It can't look that disjointed, and that's the problem. And I don't know what it is with Nick Nurse, and I don't know what it is with Nick Nurse as the coach of the Sixers, but there seem to be fundamental issues late in games when drawing up that final play. Someone has to be able to get a clean look, and nobody did. Now that ends up being kind of like the story at the end, but like there's another story that comes in from this game. Eric Gordon gets in the game before McCain. McCain, we were told before the game, was going to be was going to get minutes in this game. They feel like he's, relatively back. Fine. Eric Gordon gets in the game before Jared McCain. That's not ideal. McCain is then quoted after the game as saying that he's still trying to find his footing. He still feels a little bit weird. He still feels a little bit wobbly. He's got a knee brace now. He's trying to figure out the knee brace and the sleeve, right? Because he had the meniscus tear, which people I think kind of forgot about because then he tore the ligament in his thumb. And so he's also trying to kind of battle through that. I wasn't ready to light my hair on fire because McCain came in the game after Eric Gordon. But you have to imagine that after a few games, that cannot be the rotation. All this is to say, I am not all of a sudden going to say that the Sixers are dead in the water. I am not going to change my prediction of where I think the Sixers are going to finish. I still think that a Sixers team that looks this disjointed with Embiid sometimes looking dynamic and sometimes looking like an anchor, Paul George, God knows when he'll be in the lineup. I still think that a very imperfect Sixers team makes the playoffs. A Sixers team that has a 75% Joel Embiid and a relatively useful Paul George can be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference because I think the East sucks. And look at Detroit, right? Look at Detroit. Good enough team. Strong in the standings. Up and coming. Cade Cunningham really does look like the real deal. Is that a team that inspires a ton of fear? No. They improved to 8-2. Would I be afraid of a 7-game series against the Pistons? No. The Sixers couldn't beat the Cavaliers. Do I think that the Cavaliers are a legitimate threat in the Eastern Conference? I don't know. To some extent, I guess. But I wasn't impressed by them last year, and I'm not really that impressed with what I've seen so far this year. The team that is the actual threat, right? The team that should be better than they are, and 6-3 isn't bad, but I thought they would probably start off a little bit better, is the Knicks. And I think that in a 7-game series, the Knicks are a really tough team. I thought Boston was going to be able to kind of play above 500 basketball, and maybe we'd see this miraculous return by Jason Tatum. And I'm always going to be fearful of the Celtics, no matter what. The Bucks don't really freak me out much. I think they'll be a good team. Miami doesn't freak me out. This Eastern Conference is wide open. The Pistons might be able to rack up wins. The Cavs might be able to rack up wins, and I think the Knicks will. That 4th spot, that number 4 spot in the Eastern Conference, I think is very much there for the taking. But the final possession of games are about as important as it gets. And when you're down 3, the ball has to get to either Maxey or I'd be fine with VJ Edgecombe getting that shot. I think that we have seen enough so far early in the season that like VJ Edgecombe could be that closer. He could be that stone cold killer. Now, I'm very bullish on VJ Edgecombe. One person who's not bullish on VJ Edgecombe, it appears, is Joe DeCamara, because Joe DeCamara went on the radio today and unleashed an absolutely garbaggio take. But I am going to hit you with it right now because in the interest of fairness, we haven't gone to one of the radio people in a while. I want to hear what Joe DeCamara had to say today over on WIP's morning show about VJ Edgecombe. You know, a rookie who's really stood out and kind of put the league on notice, looks significantly better than I think any of us thought he would as the number 3 overall pick in the draft. Let's go out to let's go out to Joe DeCamara. What do you think about Edgecombe?
This question. Edgecombe hasn't really come close to duplicating night one much at all.
No shit! Like, that can't be real. You can't. Oh my God. How is that like a, oh, let me just throw this out there. He hasn't looked like the guy from opening up. Let's just real quick. Can I ask a question?
Edgecombe hasn't really come close to duplicating night one much at all.
Playing him too much.
It's not really a question, but okay. I'll sustain. Edgecombe right now is averaging 16.3 points on the season. He's averaging 5.8 rebounds per game, 4.4 assists per game. None of those league-wide are going to jump off the page. So he mentions this thing about how Edgecombe hasn't really impressed like he did on opening night. I just want you to go back to the unprecedented nature of VJ Edgecombe's NBA debut. He scored the second most points of a player since I think the merger, right? He had the second most points for a player debuting for their team. All time. He had 34 points as a rookie in his first game. He followed that up with a 15-point game against Charlotte, 26 points against the Magic, 14 points against Washington, 17 points against Boston, 16 against Brooklyn, 12 against Chicago in a loss. That was not a great game, right? Only 7 points against Cleveland. Had a rough night from the field. 3 of 14, 0 of 5 from beyond the arc. 11 points against Toronto, 11 points against Detroit. Has he been as impressive as he was on opening night? Of course not. Did anybody expect him to be a 34-point per game guy as a rookie? Did I miss something? All right, let's just continue.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm surprised, Ray. He's supposed to have young legs. Like, he's been kind of pedestrian lately, right?
Yeah, but the NBA is a bit of a different animal.
Thank you, Ray.
In terms of, the amount of games
know,
and travel and all that. I just, I think that, when you're playing one way when Joel is in and a different way when he's not in.
It's true.
James, is it that simple, or was he just making shots game one?
Look, I think was he going to score 34 points every game? Like, he's a 20-year-old kid in the NBA. I didn't expect him. I don't expect him to average 20-plus points a game or whatever. Like, he's the third scoring option on the team. You know what I mean? Maybe fourth after Oubre, like in terms of what they're looking for. So I think that was the anomaly from a scoring perspective. I just want to see him develop as the season goes on.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm glad that everybody else on the show seems to agree. That's insane. Like, we need to level set. I don't want to go back to the Flyers thing. We talked about the Flyers thing a lot today. But, like, there are just very unrealistic expectations that people have for specific players. I get that, like, Philly sports has been a hellscape outside of the Eagles for the most part of, like, a decade plus. I get it. I get that, like, you can have a run to the World Series from the Phillies and then, like, watch the bats just go cold, and that just feels like you're getting pummeled over the head with a bat repeatedly. I get the fact that, like, Philadelphia Union fans will forever have that horrible blown assignment by Mbaizo at the far post where Gareth Bale, header, MLS Cup, they lose in PKs. And there were a lot of shortcomings in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Like, I get it. Union fans are scarred. Sixers fans are used to being scarred because navicular bone break, back injuries, orbital bone fractures, all to Joel Embiid, thoracic outlet syndrome, which we'd never heard of with Markelle Fultz. Ben Simmons maybe shooting with the wrong hand. Ben Simmons with the back. Ben Simmons with the weird pass under the hoop against the Hawks. So you are forever scarred there. I get it. the Flyers have been largely irrelevant since the 2010 miracle run to the Cup. I get it. But there is an unfair amount of criticism being levied by some media, by some fans. And like, you finally, with some of these teams at least, have young guys that are producing well, and you are putting horribly unrealistic expectations on those guys at a very critical early juncture in their respective careers, and it needs to stop. There were people lighting themselves on fire at the beginning of this season for the Flyers because Matvei Michkov didn't look like he was going to take the next step and become a 40-goal scorer as a 20-year-old second-year player in his second professional season in North America. They were ready to light themselves on fire. VJ Edgecombe sets an incredible record, like goes down as like in the history books, along with like Wilt freaking Chamberlain for most points in a debut for his team. And like, he's had a few games where he's not shot well from beyond the arc. He had 2 games where over the course of those 2 games, he went 0 for 9 from downtown. Coming into the NBA, coming into the draft, Edgecombe didn't have a 3-point shot to really speak about. He certainly wasn't consistent. And here we are. He's played really well. He looks like a bona fide star in the making. There are clips circulating about him and word this weekend where like he pulled off a move that legitimately, and I don't mean this in a hyperbolic way, legitimately looked like a move that Dwayne Wade made famous. There are elements of his game that give you all the feels of Jimmy Butler and some that give you the feels of like Anthony Edwards. There is a legitimate star in the making in VJ Edgecombe. You have a guy who like has taken yet another step into potential superstardom in Tyrese Maxey. And you can't even like just sit back and enjoy the ride that those two especially are taking you on at this point in the season. Because we have to find a negative. We have to find a negative to latch on to either as a fan base or as media. Can we just for once try to enjoy having something nice just one time in some of you out there who only have to latch on to negative? Can you for one time in your godforsaken life just enjoy the ride? One time. That's all I'm asking for. One time. Can we not put unrealistic expectations on a rookie or on a second-year player and just let them live and just let them play and figure it out? Can we try that one time? Just one time. That would be great. I feel like I'm losing it. I do. I feel like at some point, everybody's just like, either everybody else is going crazy or it's me. But I look at Edgecombe and I go, that is an incredible player in the making. Tyrese Maxey looks like a legitimate superstar guard. Focus on that. Don't worry about whether or not Joel Embiid's going to fall apart or not. Don't worry about whether or not the team doesn't play the same way when Joel Embiid's on the court. Very clearly, they can't go into a track meet with Joel Embiid. They can't. They are going to play stylistically different. I will also remind you, in case you've gotten lost, dazed, confused, concussed, whatever, the track meet style doesn't work in the NBA playoffs. It doesn't. Mike D'Antoni coached some of the most electric Phoenix Suns teams with some of the most electric offensive numbers you will ever see in your lifetime. They didn't win jack diddly squat in the playoffs because inevitably you will run across a team that is going to play physically and a team that is going to make you execute a half-court offense. So I could make the case right now that the track meet style that the Sixers like to play without Embiid is lovely. You can score a lot of points. It's wide open. You might give up a lot of points. But if this team is going to have a modicum of respect in this league as a half-court offense, eventually they're going to have to incorporate Joel Embiid. Eventually they're going to have to reincorporate Paul George. And in order for this team to reach its ceiling, they're going to have some combination of Joel Embiid and Paul George playing well enough. And ideally, they would defer to Maxey and they would defer to Edgecombe, and you'd feel good about the future and also be thrilled with the fact that you have a guy who probably will be able to execute at a high enough level in Paul George, and a guy that you know can be an absolute menace on the low block if he decides to in Joel Embiid. Like, think of it like this. I mean, just one more place. Or just one more thing real quick. The NBA right now, the way that the salary cap is kind of structured, right? You can become a really good team, but once you hit a certain level and you have to start paying your own players, it becomes very, very difficult for you to change your roster in a meaningful way. Cleveland is largely unchanged. Whatever Cleveland has right now is very similar to what they finished with last year and is what they will go into the playoffs with. It ain't going to change that much. They don't really have the flexibility to be able to like add a Paul George right now. And you can laugh about the health and everything, but like a consistent Paul George would be a real help to that Cleveland team if they're going to try to win an NBA Finals. The Sixers are in this weird position where like, yeah, Tyrese Maxey just got a max deal and he deserved it and he earned it. But like realistically, you have Maxey, Edgecombe, McCain, Grimes. You have incredible backcourt depth. And you are not, right? You don't technically have a ton of flexibility. If they wanted to, there might be a team out there that's willing to make a cap move and take Paul George. But realistically, this team is good enough to potentially be a bottom half, bottom seed playoff team in the Eastern Conference right now without Paul George, without Joel Embiid. And at some point, they could maybe even add a somewhat respectable Paul George and a better than somewhat respectable Joel Embiid without having to pay another dime. Those guys are already accounted for, and they're already on the team. Like, this team actually has the chance to, like, do something. I would actually... Okay, I'm going to try not to get hyperbolic, but I'm getting worked up. This Sixers team right now in this Eastern Conference, an Eastern Conference that has a Bucks team that I don't fear, a Heat team that I don't fear, a Pistons and a Cavaliers squad that I genuinely don't fear, and a Boston team that probably will not have Jason Tatum until it's kind of too late, unless they're going to be the team who like is a very low seed and pulls off a first round upset. I could make the argument right now, this Sixers team might be in better position to go farther into the playoffs if Embiid and Paul George are even remotely healthy in the playoffs. They might have a better chance of going farther in the playoffs than the year they lost on the multi-bounce shot to Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors. There is a legitimate path. This Eastern Conference isn't very good. I don't care what the records look like. That Pistons team does not scare me in 7 games. That Cavs team does not scare me in 7 games. The Knicks are a good team. That would be a tough series. The Celtics, if they get Jason Tatum back and don't change that roster, that would scare me. But man, it feels open. It feels more open than it has. There is a more easy path, I would say, a more easy to vision path to going farther in the playoffs this year. And I would say, in an interesting turn of events, it's because Joel Embiid doesn't have to be your number one option. And I've been on the record as saying, it is very difficult to win in this league playing through your center and the kind of center that Joel Embiid is. It is very difficult to win in this league with him being your number one option. Right now, he doesn't have to be. And if they can eventually, over the next 50 games, 60 games, if they can turn VJ Edgecombe into the closer, or they can give that snarl and that cold-blooded killer mentality to Tyrese Maxey late in games and turn him into the closer, that will be a better overall scenario than any of the years that Joel Embiid has had to be the guy with the ball in his hands late in a game. And that is the truth. Some people might not like that, but that is the truth. This team will be better off if Edgecombe or Maxey are the closer than the years that Embiid has had to be the guy with the ball in his hands late in a game. And I trust that Maxey and eventually Edgecombe will be more sure-handed with the ball late in games and will make a better, higher quality decision late in games. To me right now, if I were Nick Nurse, my focus is how do I make Tyrese Maxey the most dangerous end-of-game guard in this league? If you figure it out, you will make the conference final. If you can get him to that headspace and get that execution, there is not a single player in this Eastern Conference that I would fear more as a guy who could slash and get to the rim like that than Tyrese Maxey. He has that step back three. He has the ability to hit a floater. He has a ton of tools in his toolbox. He has solid vision, great playmaking ability. There is no one I'd rather trust with ball in their hands at the end of a game on this Sixers team than Tyrese Maxey. If they can get to that point, they will reach, heights that I think they haven't seen in a while. That's where I'm at. I could be wrong. Clip this, come back to me at the end of the year. I tend to think that the Sixers are actually in better shape than some people think they are. Okay. That's the Sixers. We talked about the Flyers. We talked about the Sixers. I saw that the people were going back and forth about the Flyers again. I'm not going back there. I refuse. I will not go back to that. You could not convince me. You could even tell me that, I don't know. I got nothing. I was going to try to transition into this next story, but this is just really quick. So there was a report that came out from Adam Schefter, and it made me giggle. It made me chuckle. It warmed the cockles of my heart. Apparently, when Jerry Jones decided that it was time to trade Micah Parsons and trade him to Green Bay and not take the Eagles offer, because of course he wouldn't, we learned this weekend that according to Adam Schefter, Micah Parsons' trade to the Packers included a poison pill that the Cowboys inserted to block a deal in the near future to the Eagles. If the Packers decide to trade Parsons to a team in the NFC East, Green Bay would owe Dallas its 2028 first-round draft pick. I want you to think about just how insane you have to be, and how in the head of the opposition you have to be, how in the head right now the Eagles are to the Cowboys, that the Cowboys not only made a catastrophic choice in getting rid of their best defensive player, Micah Parsons, but that they put a poison pill in it. They're like, hey, if you decide to trade Parsons to anywhere else, the Eagles, the Giants, the Commanders, 2028 first-round pick is ours. That is next level. JH is right. That is 100% rent-free. And Chris is right. We can laugh at the poison pill, but it is a good business decision. I actually wonder if that has been in other trades. And it almost makes me wonder, is that the precedent you want to set? Because that could ultimately come back to bite the Cowboys, right? All right, so if you're Howie Roseman, you execute a trade, whatever that trade's going to end up being. I'm sure that there are people on the radio right now who would love for it to be an A.J. Brown trade. Would I want Howie Roseman to put a poison pill in that A.J. Brown couldn't come back and burn you with somebody in your own division or with another NFC foe? Sure. Do I think it would happen? I don't know. But that was actually pretty wild to me that they put a poison pill in that trade. Then again, I can't imagine, why would Green Bay want to trade Micah Parsons? I can't see that. So whatever. Last thing I want to get to, and it does have to do with the Eagles. Eagles are playing on Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football, ESPN. ESPN not available currently to people who have YouTube TV. I got to tell you, I'm having a hard time these days finding a lot of sympathy for Google and for Disney in the YouTube TV versus ESPN Disney dispute. Okay. I cannot imagine under any circumstances, right? I cannot imagine wanting to feel bad for YouTube TV or Disney. I don't give a shit. Okay. I don't care whose margin is getting hurt. I just want to be able to watch Monday Night Football. Okay. I will tell you, ESPN has adversely affected my ability or my willingness to watch WWE premium live events. I will not pay $30 a month for the unlimited plan to have access to WWE premium live events. They lost me. Sorry, WWE. Bad business. I will not, under any circumstances, spend $30 to get access to Monday Night Football. I will figure out another way to watch it. I will figure it out. If I have to go to a bar, if I have to go to a friend's house, if I have to borrow somebody else's login, guess what? I'm going to do it. I am not signing up for the DTC product. I am not. Direct to consumer my ass. I ain't doing it. You ain't getting me to pay for cable or pay for YouTube TV. I also have here's where it actually gets really frustrating, right? So Google has all the money in the world. Google doesn't need to grandstand about Disney being unreasonable. Disney doesn't need to grandstand and be unreasonable. I pay Disney however much a month. I don't actually know how much it is. I'm sure it's more than I want. Certainly more than my wife would want. I pay Disney more money than I want to have access to Disney Plus for the kids, to have access to ESPN Plus for some games, soccer mostly, and I guess for Hulu. I don't actually care about Hulu. I don't think there's a single show I watch on Hulu, but anyway, whatever. It's part of the bundle. I have this 3-app bundle, and I don't have access to Monday Night Football. Do you know how dumb that is? If you wanted to make the case to me, Russ, unlimited is fair for WWE premium live events. You're paying for Peacock anyway. This is perfectly acceptable. Those are premium live events. They used to be pay-per-view. It's more cost efficient, blah, 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 blah. Fine. You could try. Monday Night Football should not be paywalled off. I'll tell you where my theory is, right? This to me is like the most sensible thing. Disney has ownership in Hulu, has ownership in Fubo. If they don't come to a deal with YouTube TV, where are you more likely to go? I don't know. Maybe you decide to sign up for Hulu plus live sports. Maybe you choose to sign up for Fubo. Guess who benefits? Disney. Maybe you decide you're just going to go get the direct product from ESPN and go get ESPN Unlimited. Guess what? Disney wins. They have 3 different ways to win this battle. So on one hand, I actually look to YouTube TV and I say, good on you for standing up to them. Here's where you lose me, though. Here's where you lose me, YouTube TV. I'm sick of having to hear about how you're trying to work out deals with the networks. I'm sick of hearing about, oh, you might not have access to Fox games this week. Oh, you might not have access to NBC or to CBS. And now we're over here with ABC and ESPN. I don't want to hear it. I don't. I'll tell you what else is kind of shitty. YouTube TV, I'll tell you. There was a $20 credit that YouTube TV subscribers are supposed to get, right? You're supposed to get it. They made it sound like if we can't come to a resolution with Disney, you'll get a $20 credit. I'm going to give everybody the heads up right now. If you are a YouTube TV subscriber, you will not get that $20 credit automatically applied to your account. So if you're a YouTube TV subscriber who's been adversely affected because of the loss of ABC, ESPN, any of the Disney networks, and you're waiting for that $20 credit on your bill, you ain't getting it automatically. You have to navigate to your account. And there's another thing that like Awful Announcing put out that had the actual link. You have to manually go into your account and request the $20 credit to be applied to your next bill. So there's your heads up. If you have YouTube TV and you're like, I'm going to get $20. No, you ain't. You have to go over to your account and manually request that $20 credit. That also feels kind of shitty. So at different points, you're in fear. You're going to lose this network. You're going to lose this network. We all know whenever inevitably Disney and YouTube TV come together and they find a resolution, what else is going to go up? The price of YouTube TV. So enjoy your 20 credit. Like seriously, enjoy the $20 credit, but you have to go manually ask for it. You can't just, think that it's going to be applied to your account. That's nonsensical. It actually makes me frustrated, which unfortunately was kind of like how different parts of the show were. And JH is right. The email made it sound like it was automatic. They did, except it's not. You do have to request it. I did it this morning. Like I said, Awful Announcing had a tweet out about it. You can go click the link there. It's somewhere like it's in the settings. I think if you go on desktop, you go into your YouTube account, you go into settings and then into your account management. And that's where the credit can be requested. So you have to do it manually. So let everybody know that as YouTube TV in your life, they have to go and request that $20 credit. It's just crazy. Now, let's kind of bring this back and reconvene and try to find a nice place to just settle the show today, okay? We talked about this Couturier-Michkov thing, which I am more than willing to have more people on this week to talk about. If you're out there, you write for an outlet, you have a podcast, you want to talk about the Flyers, come on the show. You think I'm a dope? You think that that Couturier's comments are clearly a shot at their most talented, up-and-coming, rising star? You can come on the show, we'll talk about it, okay? We went over that in pretty explicit detail. We talked about the Sixers, especially the late game situations and the horrible final shots they're getting. We talked briefly about the poison pill. We've talked about the YouTube TV thing. One thing that we have not really talked about today is the Eagles game. We have not talked much about Eagles-Packers tonight, and there's a specific reason for it. I don't like doing a preview the day of because more often than not, there are going to be a lot of people who, sure, will watch this live or watch this leading up to the game. But there are going to be people who are going to download the show and listen to it after the game, or they'll listen to it on Tuesday. And I don't like having an entire segment of the show dedicated to something that's already over. Okay? Here's what I will say. I am looking forward to seeing what this Eagles team looks like coming out of the bye. I will tell you that I think that on the whole, the Packers haven't looked quite as imposing, I guess, as a lot of people expected them to be. They're 5-2-1 on the season. It's a wonderful record. But I wouldn't say that the Packers have been like instilling a ton of fear in the opposition. This is a team that and in their last game, lost at home to the Panthers. And I get that the Panthers have had a pretty good season. And now, what is it called? Meow Mix is the podcast that like stopped recording and now they're coming back. But like the Packers are a good team. I wouldn't say that right now the Packers look like a great team. But tonight is a night that like you're on national TV. If you're the Eagles coming out of the bye week, you need to figure out a way to get things started on a strong foot. I would love to see Saquon Barkley and that running game get going early. I would love to see some snaps from under center. I would love to see some play action. I would love to see A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith tear up the secondary. And I would love to see the Eagles get a double-digit point win. Is that what I think is going to happen? I have no idea. I don't know. I actually don't know what to make of any of it. I don't. I will be watching for Jalen Phillips. They did announce that Jair Alexander will not be playing tonight. They apparently want to, I think they said that like there's still an injury that he's trying to get over. And also they want him to be more familiar with the system before he gets playing time, which that doesn't bother me. I don't really care. He's a high upside signing. That doesn't bother me in the least bit. I'll be very interested to see what tonight's game looks like. And I will be back on Wednesday and we'll talk about we'll talk about the game. We'll talk about what we see. If all goes well, the Eagles should have not a definitive win. I think a close game is probable. The one thing the Eagles cannot afford tonight is they simply cannot afford to get off to an incredibly slow start. That would doom them, at least from where I'm sitting, standing, whatever. I don't want to see the Eagles get off to a slow start. I think if they can score a touchdown on one of their first 3 possessions, the defense will keep it close. Maybe it's a 4-point Eagles win. I think this one will be kind of nervy. I don't see this being a blowout either way. That's where I'm at. We'll talk on Wednesday. Okay. Big thank you to everybody who joined me live over on YouTube, on Facebook, on X. Hey, do me a favor. If you watched the show today on X, Twitter, and you saw it in portrait style, right, where it's vertical video, let me know if that was a good call or if I should go back to doing horizontal view. We tried to go to Instagram. For some reason, it did not work going to Instagram today. I don't know why, but we'll have that up and running for next episode. Maybe I'll beta test this. Maybe I'll do the stream on the Joy Media YouTube channel as a vertical and do the Russ Joy Show as the landscape mode. Ooh, diversifying the video. Anyway, I'll be back on Wednesday. Hopefully, Flyers fans stop dousing themselves in gasoline and lighting themselves on fire. Thank you for being here. Do me a favor, if you haven't done so already. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified whenever the show goes live. If you happen to be on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook and you see the short form content, right, that vertical content, give it a like. If you don't follow the show already over on TikTok, please do so. It helps. Hitting that like helps. Hitting the share helps. Same thing from YouTube. Hitting like and sharing the video helps. Send it to your friend, family member, ex-girlfriend, whoever you want to send it to. I don't care. Send it to the bots who keep calling you, telling you about your extended warranty or whatever on your car. All right. One other thing before we head out. If anybody knows a really good car salesman or a dealership that wants to sponsor this and or Snow the Goalie in exchange for a little bit of a discount on a pickup truck, let me know. Let me know. Just a guy trying to get a pickup truck. It may be a point of contention in this household, but you just never know. You just never know. It won't happen, but maybe not. Anyway, I will talk to all of you Wednesday here on the Russ Joy Show. Until then, I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart, and it's also the name of the show. Talk to each and every one of you Wednesday. Go Birds. Let's hope they get a win on Monday night against the Packers. Talk to all of you very soon.